Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, wearing my Aquarium Co-op shirt today. I've gotten some questions about how we do filtration in the fish room, so I wanted to spend just a little bit of time talking about how we filter all of these tanks, so stay tuned. Alright, so I thought I'd start with the heart of our filtration system, and that's this right here. This is the Gemco LPH 60 linear air piston pump, and I will put a link in the description for all of the items that I talk about, where I get them, so if you're interested in any of this stuff, you'll know where to find it. So again, this is a Gemco linear air piston pump. It is an LPH 160, and according to the website, it is good for, well over 40 outlets, so we have plenty of capacity. And so that pump goes to some PVC. And this PVC runs a full circuit around our entire fish room on both sides, both the old and the new side. And so it comes down here, and you can see I've got the valves. Also, I purchased those from Gemco, and so again, I'll put a link in the description for you. But these valves are found periodically throughout the fish room. And then we've got the airline that runs to the tanks. So let me pan back here a little bit. And goes to the sponge filters that you see inside of all of our tanks. So if we were to follow this loop, and I just want to go ahead and take you around here, on this side we have the PVC running, and this is 1-inch PVC, which was recommended by Gemco when I called them. They were very helpful. There is a center line that runs across the ceiling here, and that center line feeds the 50-gallon lowboy, along with these two 20-gallon highs, and then pretty soon when we get into phase 2, there will be 2 more 20 highs where that 55-gallon now sits. So again, let's go ahead and follow this loop. So we've got this cut in here, and then the loop goes out, and we'll get rid of the glare, come back up, and then it's this white line right in the center, the smaller PVC that comes up and out. And then we've got this thing coming down a little bit lower just because that was easier to do. Comes all the way around. This is where the lighting's going to get kind of bad. And again, we've got the valves that are hooked up. It goes all the way around this side, up over that wall. And if you hang on a second, we will pick it up from where we leave off. So now we're back up over the wall, and we have the PVC running. There is an air silencer there, so this will relieve some of the back pressure on the pump if needed. I have found I purchased that just in case, but as soon as I open that valve, I lose air to my deepest tank, which is the 150 tall. So that has actually remained closed, and it's worked out okay. Then the airline comes down. We've got a little gang valve here that goes to my handy dandy makeshift brine shrimp hatchery. We hatch live baby brine a couple times a day. We'll talk more about that in a later video. So then it comes back around, and let me go ahead and get out here for a second. And so it's coming back out over these 20 highs, up the side, and then we have our loop. So if you want to get a little bit of a closer look at the valves, again, I will put a link in the description. These came from Gemco. The nice thing about these valves is they are self-tapping, which means all you have to do, and they can supply the drill bit, you drill into the PVC. All you got to do is make sure you're drilling in straight. You can put this part, let me get my big old finger in here. This part right here will then stick right into the drill chuck, tighten it up, just make sure it's level, and then very slowly start the drill, and it will eventually thread itself in. And this process, believe me, if I can do it, just about anybody can, because I don't consider myself to be the most awesomely handy guy, and I was able to do this with very little problems. So these valves, they're relatively cheap. They're doing a great job so far. And then again, the airline tubing, I think I got that from Gemco as well. It's more or less a one-stop shop. And again, right back into the sponge filters that we see here. which also came from Gemco. And I will put a link in the description for these. They've got many different sizes depending on the needs of your tank and their stocking levels and things of that nature. So that's just a little bit of an overview of how we do filtration in our fish room. We chose this method because with this many tanks, again, just down here, we've got 26 tanks and there's going to be more pretty soon. So to do maybe hang on the back filters for every tank, it just wasn't possible. We don't have enough electricity down here to do that. It would have gotten very expensive with all these individual tanks running hang on the back filters. There are still just a few tanks where we do use hang on the back filters, and we'll talk more about that in a later video. In fact, we plan to come out with a video that just discusses filtration in general, so that you can get an idea of what are the advantages, disadvantages of using hang on the back filters versus the sponge filters that we're using here, versus canister filters and other types, under gravel filters, other types of filtration. So be on the lookout for that. That should be coming out in the not too distant future. But like I said, I wanted to address some of the questions that we had about what are we doing specifically in our fish room for filtration. This is really the only way for us to go. It's one pump. If you wanted to back that pump up into a generator, it would be easy to do if there was a power outage. It's relatively cheap. That pump, like I said, is an LPH 60. The LPH 45s are a little bit smaller if you don't have quite as many tanks. And you could probably get that pump for somewhere in the $250 range. There are larger pumps that are a little bit more expensive, but that will run more fish tanks. So you can really find the linear piston pump to fit your needs, and you only have to buy one. And then it's a matter of just buying the sponge filters, which last an incredibly long time. The valves, the PVC, like I said, we're using 1-inch PVC. And to connect all the PVC together, some people just push it together and don't do anything. I just siliconed everything together because I had silicone, it's easy to work with. And I wanted to make sure there were absolutely no air leaks in our system to maximize its effectiveness. So we did that, and we have had really great results. You can pick the sponge filters to fit the needs of the tank, as I mentioned. If you want to put more than one sponge filter in a tank, you can do that. I would say the only downside to the sponge filters is probably the look, right? I mean, if you've got like a show tank and you want it to look really nice, then maybe a canister filter is for you. But for us, with the number of tanks that we run, sponge filters were the only way to go, especially because we've got fry in a lot of our tanks, and we don't want the fry getting sucked up by canister filter intakes or hang on the back filter intakes. And the sponge filters supply food to small shrimp and small fry. So again, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe, share it. If you've got suggestions for other types of videos, please share those in the comments as well, and we'll see you in the next one.